What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Charging Station Podcast. It's your girl, Tracy Massey of Living My Empowered Life. Hey, what's up? What's up? How you doing, boo? I hope you are doing well. If this is your first time joining us, hey, welcome to the Couchy Couch. Come on in, take your shoes off, have a seat. If you are a returning listener, you know I love me some you. Welcome back, boo. Y'all, 2024 has been amazing. But before we get into it, I want y'all to go ahead, grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your water, grab your wine, whatever your beverage of choice is. Go ahead, grab that thing and have a seat on the couchy couch. And make sure that you are following us on all of the socials. You can find me on Instagram, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Threads, Living My Empowered Life, all of them. Make sure you're on my email list. And make sure you are active on the socials because I'll be there most of the time, mostly on Instagram. If you know, you know. Also, make sure that you are subscribed or following this podcast. And please do me a big old favor and rate and leave a review or whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. Make sure you follow the instructions or whatever that platform is. If you are on Apple Podcasts, it's real easy. Just follow, click the little plus sign, leave a 5-star rating and a review because those ratings and reviews and follows and subscribes help get the podcast out to more people. So I appreciate you. If y'all want me to keep on going, y'all gonna, help a sister out. Help me out. Anyway, I hope you all are doing well. Can you believe we are in season 8 of this thing? 8 is the number of new beginnings. I can't believe I've been doing this for 7 years. I'm so very thankful. I'm so very thankful. But I just want to fill y'all in on something. If you follow me on the socials, you already know this. But if you don't, which, the podcast audience is huge. We are heard in over 60-something countries and growing by the week. Thank you for listening wherever you are. What's up, Bali? What's up, Maldives? What's up, Malta? Hey, y'all. Hopefully one of these days I'll get to visit some of these places where our listeners are. That is definitely a wish and a goal of mine. But speaking of wishes, let me go ahead and just preface this by saying I am no longer sitting in the wish. If I wish something, I'm going to take action to get to it. So my prayer is that you do the same. And with that, we're going to get into what this episode is about. So if you don't know, I have been taking swim lessons. Yes, at the big age of 48, at least I'm 48 at the time I recorded this episode, I decided to take swim lessons. And this isn't the first time that I've taken swim lessons. I started right after my daughter passed away. When my daughter passed away, I went to Hawaii and I swam with dolphins there. And I should be doing videos so you can see the air quotes that I'm doing. But I went to swim with dolphins, and that was the moment that, the realization of the fact that I could not swim came really real for me because we were in this deep pool with these big old fish. I don't know if you've ever seen a dolphin up close in real life. They're huge. The particular dolphin that I was with was weighed 800 pounds. Big boy. Big boy. They were friendly, thank goodness, but they were huge. And I just remember telling the lifeguards and the trainers there, stick beside me because I can't swim. Now, we did have on flotation devices and everything, but I'm in the middle of this big old 40-foot deep pool, not knowing how to swim with these gigantic fish. Like they're huge. So I conquered a fear. I don't even know why I wanted to go swim with the dolphins. I literally was sitting at this orientation kind of thing. So if you've gone on vacation before, sometimes you go to, depending on who you travel with, the travel agency that I was going through with put me with this travel vendor. And so the travel vendor actually had like a orientation that you can go to, and you can select the activities that you wanted to do. And for some reason, I chose to swim with the dolphins. I don't know why. I don't I don't know why. I had never thought about doing this before. And then all of a sudden I just wanted to do it, and I did it. And then the reality hit, and I'm like, girl, what was you thinking? But I'm glad I did, because I didn't know that was something that I wanted to do. So we did it, and it was an amazing experience, but I don't ever have to do it again. But when I came back home from that trip, I decided that swim lessons would be a good idea. And so I signed up for swim lessons, and I will be honest, the instructor wasn't that great, and I got discouraged, so I quit. Yeah, I quit. And not knowing how to swim bothered me for years. And so finally I was just like, you know what? Let me go ahead and learn how to swim. And so I signed up for swim lessons at my local gym. And this was back in November of 23. I started right before Thanksgiving. And the instructor there was so nice and so kind and was an amazing teacher. The classes were small because it was the burr months. You know, people aren't thinking about swim lessons when it's cold. And so that's the main reason why I did it, because I knew that I wanted to do, I did it. That's the main reason why I did it in November, because I knew I wanted to have swim lessons, but I didn't feel ready for private lessons. And I wanted an opportunity to be in a group, but in a small group. And it was like 12 of us. And when I first got there, I got so scared. I've never been afraid of the water. I realize now that I've had a fear of deep water, but we'll get into that. I've never had a fear of water, but when I got there and realized what I was about to do, it really did scare me. And so I shared on my Instagram stories, you know, hey, I'm here doing my first swim lesson, and all of a sudden I got scared. But then I remembered what I promised myself at the beginning of 2024. I said that I was no longer going to be hindered by two things. One of them was fear, and one of them was people. I was no longer going to allow fear to hold me back from the things that I wanted to try, do, or experience. And I was not going to allow myself to be held back by people, by what they said, thought, or just made up in their own minds, or even waiting on people to do things, because there have been instances where I've missed out on great opportunities because I've waited on people, like not traveling. That's the main reason why I travel by myself. I would take a solo trip in a heartbeat, because I got tired of waiting on people to decide if they want to go or if they had a fear of going. So now I'm like, I will invite you, but know that I'm still going whether you go or not. And so I made that decision to do that, do things afraid. And so got to the first class. I was so scared. It didn't hit me until I got to the pool and saw the water. And I'm like, okay, I'm really getting ready to do this. And the first day of class, I was so proud of myself, because we went in and then I realized, I can float. So it was a lot of skills that I had that I didn't realize that I had until the instructor started to bring them out of me. And the instructor, every week I would come back, and the instructor would add on a new drill, would add on a new task, would do this and do this. And so I began to really take to the water. And it was pretty cool. It was a challenge for me, a challenge that I think that I definitely needed. But it was pretty cool to see how I was progressing. So fast forward. I continue to sign up for swim. Well, wait a minute. Fast forward. I took a break from swim lessons the month of March, because that's my birth month. I knew I was going to be turned all the way up, litty, for my birthday. I celebrate my birthday the entire month of March. And on March 17th, my actual birthday, it gets bananas. Okay. So I took the time off from the swim lessons, because I knew every weekend I was going to have something, and I didn't want to sign up and not be there. That's a waste of money. So I took March and April off, because those months were busy. Started back up in June of 2024. Did I start in June or July? But the summer of 2024, I went back. And this time the classes were a little more full. I actually got in, it was June. I actually got in one of the last two spots for the June sessions. And this class was big. So big that we had 3 instructors. And what they did was everybody starts on ground zero, the very first class. So you go in, they see what you can do. Are you comfortable with putting your head under the water? Can you float on your back? Can you float on your front side? Can you do strokes? So can you freestyle? What are your kicks like? Those kind of things, the drills that they teach you. So there I was, being able to do all of those things. And then they were like, you can swim. Like, why are you here? And I'm like, no, I can't. And so here's the thing. Here's one lesson I want you all to get out of this. There are going to be a lot of gems that I'm going to drop in this episode because these are the things that I learned in this process. Know your capabilities and don't let anybody talk you out of them. Like, don't let anybody like push you too far too quickly. You know what you're able to do, but also there's a caveat. Have a good instructor, mentor, coach, whatever there that can pull those things out of you, because we can limit ourselves because we get comfortable in a space that we're in. And so I knew that I was not comfortable with my strokes and my kicks were not strong. I knew this. But to them, to their eyes, and this is the first time they're meeting me, they're like, oh, you can swim. I'm like, no, I can't. That's why I'm here. So I was able to verbalize and articulate, like, no, I'm not ready for this next phase. But my instructors, who were so good, were able to say, you're ready, you just don't know it. And we just need to practice this to get you comfortable. So they broke up the class into beginner, intermediate, and more advanced. At that point, I was in the intermediate group. Had no idea I was intermediate. So at that point, the instructions changed. The drills became a little, not necessarily hard. They became different. The drills were a little different, and they were longer. So we started swimming from one end of the pool to the other with the kickboard. So then I realized, like, girl, you got to get back in this cardio because, baby. But then my instructor was like, you got to realize when you're using the kickboard, all you're doing is kicking. You're not using your arms, which propel you. So with that, I realized, okay, I'm using half of my capability. But in order to learn this skill, in order to get stronger in this skill, I have to focus on this part that's not very strong. And so what I learned in that is sometimes we do get ahead of ourselves. So like, I know I got this part mastered, but it's not strong. I may know how to do it technically, but I'm not strong yet. And so before I add this other element on, let me go ahead and get strong in this area. So that taught me to slow it down a little bit. Master this, get strong in this, and then add on another element. So fast forward to now. I wanted to take it up a notch. So I have a goal to reach by November. In November, I'm taking a big trip, and I wanted to be able to swim by November. Now, the reason why I said swim twice and started laughing is because we got this thing in the Black culture. If you say something twice, like, you're serious about it. So I wanted to be able to swim by November, by my trip in November. Meaning not holding on to the side of the pool wall, sitting on the stairs, or holding on to the ladders, or being on the shallow end because I know that I can stand up. I wanted to be able to get in that deep water and just do the darn thing. So I stepped it up a notch. I'm still taking my group swim lessons, but then I got my swim instructor privately. So I'm doing swim lessons twice a week. And let me tell you the difference that this has made. For one, it's even more challenging because now the focus is on me instead of the whole group. When you have that one-on-one instruction, you get to see what your form is like. You get to see if you're holding your breath too long, because that is a thing. You get to see if your strokes are bad. So you get to see how you have grown and developed and where you can grow and develop some more, because now your instructor is focused solely on you. So I would do my private lesson right before, like a couple days before the group class. So by the time I get to the group class, I'm moving up even more. And people were like, oh, you can swim, you got this, you got this. And I'm like, no, for one, people didn't see the work that I was doing before. So the practice that I was getting in before. So I'm getting the practice in with my swim instructor, but also I'm going to the pool like 2 or 3 days before my swim lesson so I can practice the skill that I was taught the week before. Sometimes we just got to get in there and practice and do some extra work in order for us to be able to master it and feel comfortable in it. So we're doing the private lesson. And the thing about the private lesson, my instructor was asking me, well, what is it that you want to hone in on? What is it that you want to definitely walk away with after these lessons are done? And I said, well, one, I need to work on my breathing. So there's the breathing technique when you do freestyle swimming. I have not mastered how to do that. It is very important that you be able to breathe when you're swimming because, I'm not a fish. My lungs need air. I can flip on my back in survival mode so I can get some air, but I want to be able to freestyle swim and not have to stop and still be able to breathe. So she said, okay, we can work on that. And I said, I also want to be able to tread water. Okay, so those are 2 skills. 2 goals that I set forth that I wanted to work on. And she said, okay, we can do that. And then we can work on these other things too. So she surprised me one day. She says, so we're going to go to a different pool. I was like, okay. She said, yeah, this one's deeper. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she says to me, yeah, you're going to get into the deeper end. It's about 8 feet. Are you okay with that? My body, my mind, my soul, my spirit was saying no, but out of my mouth it came yes. Mm-hmm. So she said, okay, we're going to meet at this pool at this time. I'll see you there. Okay. I get there and I realized, okay, what's about to happen? She's going to have me go into a deeper end. So this pool, the pool that I've been taking my original lessons in, goes up to about 4 feet. I'm 5'1", I can stand up, I'm good. This pool goes up to 8 feet. So the reality of not being able to touch the bottom, my survival skill that I would tell myself, girl, just stand up. You're not going to drown, just stand up. Okay, I can't stand up in 8 feet of water. So I get there and I'm thinking she's going to have me start from the shallow end, get warmed up, get acclimated, and then we progress to deeper water. No, ma'am, Pam. I get there. She's like, come on down to the deep end. And I said, to do what? She says, you're going to jump in. I said, who going to do what now? She said, yeah, you're going to jump in. I said, well, why can't we start from the shallow end? She said, no, because if we start from the shallow end, you're going to freak out when we get down here. She said, we're just going to jump in. She said, you have been doing this long enough that you know what to do. And I'm right here with you when you do it. That right there ministered to me. Because isn't life like that? Like, we know what to do. But when we have somebody there that has been teaching us and instructing us and guiding us, hello, Holy Spirit, when we go into these situations where we're fearful, we always have somebody that's with us. So I'm going down to the deep end, and I'm like, oh, I can feel my heart beating in my ears, and I'm scared. I'm not scared, scared. I'm scared. So I get down to the deeper end. She makes swimming look so easy because she's been doing this since she was like knee-high to a grasshopper. So she's just, floating, making it look effortless. Then she's like, okay, are you just jump in when you're ready? And I'm like, I'm not ready. By this time, I can feel my body tensing. So I had to do some deep breathing and calm myself down because I can do this. My mind, I'm telling myself that I can do this. I'm telling myself I can do this, but I know that my mind is going into protect mode because this is something that I had never done. So by that time, the lifeguard comes over and she's like, you can do it. She said, I'm here. Do you want me to jump in with you if you do it? I'm like, no. I got to do it. Then the people in the office start coming out. So by now, people are realizing what's happening. And so they're coming to cheer me on. No pressure, right? That just made me nervous. Most people don't know about me is I'm very shy. I'm very much of an introvert, and I don't like a lot of attention on me, even though I can get on stages and give speeches. I can do this podcast. I can get online, like all that. I don't like a lot of attention on me. This was giving me a lot of attention. So everybody's like trying to encourage me and everything. I said, everybody just stop talking. Just stop talking. Because I had to silence the noise. And sometimes we have to do that when we're in a panic or we're fearful or whatever. Sometimes we just have to silence the noise. And so I closed my eyes. And y'all, I wish I had a picture of how my toes were clinging to the side of the pool, the edge of the pool, because I was like so nervous. I think I was white knuckling the edge of the pool with my toes. But I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. I held my nose because I didn't want water running up in my nose. And I jumped in. When I opened my eyes, I was underwater. And the first thing I said to myself was, don't panic. And I realized I was floating. I was floating back up to the top. And I said, oh, okay. And immediately what I learned kicked in. I started to tread water. And when I looked around and my head came up above water, Morgan was smiling. The lifeguard was cheering me on. The people that were in the lanes beside us that were swimming, they stopped swimming. They were clapping for me. Everybody was clapping. And I'm like, oh, I did it. I have never been so proud of myself than in that moment right then. I conquered that fear. And then I realized what was happening. I was like, where's the wall? Where's the wall to the pool? I was like, where's the wall to the pool? And so I was holding on to the wall. I was standing on the stairs, and Morgan was like, you did it. Great job, great job. So we went through the skills. And by the time we had gotten into the lesson, I felt more comfortable, but then she upped it up a notch. And I'm like, okay. So she takes me, she says, okay, you're going to swim from the deep end to the shallow end. Okay, cool. I'm swimming, cool. I have to, since I haven't mastered the rhythm of the side breathing with freestyling, I flip on my back. Instinct kicked in. You don't understand how survival skills kick in until you have to use them. So I flip on my back and I'm floating on my back. I'm kind of like still kicking and moving my arms. So I'm still moving in the water. And then I flip back over. Next thing I realize, I'm in the shallow end. I can stand up, but I swim all the way to the end. And then I stand up and I'm looking at the other end of the pool. And I'm like, yo, I just swam from that end to this end. Huh. That's pretty cool. So my swim instructor allows me to catch my breath. And then she says, all right, we're going to go back. You're going to swim back. And I said, okay. She said, what I want you to do is look at the line at the bottom of the pool. She said, don't think about the drop. Look at the line of the pool. And I'm like, okay, because it's Olympic. It's an Olympic sized pool. So here in the city, there are Olympic athletes who come to train there at that particular pool. So you can imagine the lanes that are lined. So, okay, I'm in the shallow end. I start off swimming, flip, swim. And then I look and I see the line drop. I immediately knew that I was in the deep end, and I felt my entire body like clamp. I felt every muscle just, ugh. And I had to flip on my back real quick because I knew if I hadn't done that, I was going to start to go into a panic. And I'm like, Tracy, trust the skills that you learned. Trust your body. You got this. So I float on my back, still kicking, still moving, still breathing. I'm able to take deep, slow breaths to kind of calm my nerves. And then when I felt ready, I flipped back over and I swam to the other end. And then I was like, I just swam all the way from the shallow end to the deep end. And by the end of our lesson, I was able to do a skills check and I passed. I was able to tread water for a minute and do my strokes and everything. And I was like, wow, T, you really did that. And I'm so proud of myself because the old me would not have done that. The old me would not have embraced that fear and embraced the challenges. I would have taken my panic as failure and like, see, you can't do this, don't do that. So sometimes we got to shut off the self-talk as well. Because I don't know about you, I'm my hardest and worst critic. Nobody can talk down to me better than I can. So much so that I will never forget my best friend telling me to not speak about her best friend in the manner of which I had spoken about myself in front of her ever again. And I've been mindful of that ever since she said that. And this has been about 5 or 6 years ago. So thank you, bestie. And that's a perfect example of why you need to have good, sound friends. So I am still taking the swim lessons because, again, I want to hone in and build those skills and get so comfortable with myself. Like, I actually want to get to the point where I can pass a lifeguarding test. I'm not going to be a lifeguard now. No. I'm not making a career change. But I just want to know that I'm able to do that skill set, because in order to pass the lifeguard test, you got to be able to swim because you're saving somebody's life. So I want to read something that someone had shared with me in my DMs, because I have a ton of people that get in my DMs and say, oh, I'm so inspired by what you're doing. I wish I could do that, blah, blah, blah. And so this is someone that I know actually who said to me that they wish they knew how to swim. And I'm just going to read this exchange to you. If I can find it. Did I delete it? I don't know. I may have to go off memory, y'all. And if I have to, bless it. Bless it if I have to. Okay, yeah, I found it. Wait, so we talk a lot. So let me just scroll up. But I hope that so far this is helping you conquer a fear that you may have, or if you felt defeated in something, I hope you hear something in here that helped you. And so she DM'd me and she said, I wish I could swim. And I said, don't sit in the wish, take the lessons and learn. And I know that that's easier said than done because a lot of people really do have a fear. She says, I'm scared of the water. And so the coach, psychologist, kicked in. And I said to her, you take showers and wash your hands. So I know you aren't scared of water. The fear is something else. Unpack that fear. Is it a past trauma with a large body of water? Is it a fear of drowning? Unpack it to conquer it. An instructor, a good one, can help you overcome the fear. And she reveals to me that she almost drowned as a kid. So fun fact, I almost drowned as a kid too, because some adult thought that it would be wise to just throw me in the deep end of the water. They knew that I could not swim, but they thought it would be wise to throw me in the deep end of the water because I guess they felt like I would automatically learn how to swim. And no, not so. So I almost drowned. They did have to come in and get me. And I think that was the first time that I've ever saw my mama go mama bear. That's a story for another day. So I replied to my friend, that's it, because meaning that we just figured out why she has this fear. And I shared with her that I almost drowned as a kid. And I actually got a whooping for being near the water because my mom told me not to go near the water, and I did anyway. So yeah, I might need to talk to my therapist about that, because that was weird. Like, I almost died, mama, then you gonna whoop me anyway. So, and then we had a pool party. So why couldn't I be near the water if you bringing me to a pool party? That didn't make sense. The math wasn't math in there. But anyway, I digress. And so I told my friend that you deserve to not live in the trauma of the past. And I say that to you as well. You deserve to not live in the trauma of the past. How many things have happened in our lives where we just still sit there? It's a lot of things that impact us that happened to us when we were kids that still impact us in our adulthood. And this is why I am such an advocate for therapy. A good therapist will unpack that trauma and help you work through it and give you good coping skills and resources to be in a place where you never are severely impacted by it again. And I just hope and I pray that you are able to unpack your traumas and grow from them, because you are definitely worth the fight. Definitely worth the fight. And as somebody who has been through a lot of trauma, I'm actually a trauma survivor multiple times over. When people look at me, they will never know that I've been through the things that I've been through unless I share them with them. Because I made a decision to not be held back anymore. The Bible tells us that God wants us to have life and to live life more abundantly. My abundant life, my empowered life is not tied to fear. I'm not saying that I'm never going to feel fear again, because I will. You let a spider come crawl across here and I'm going to be like, ah. But there's a difference between having a fear and having a trauma-induced fear. And I don't want to live in that trauma-induced fear anymore. So I'm out here kicking butt and taking names when it comes to this fear. And like I said, the only way you're going to know if you can actually do something is if you do it. And when you have somebody that is standing beside you, teaching you and guiding you and leading you, there's so much you can do. And you will be surprised at how far you come. So just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, like Dory in Finding Nemo. So there was something that I learned in the group classes, and I shared this with my mentor, and I hope I can remember it, like how I said it to her. I should have written it down, but I was telling her, being in these group classes when I first started swimming, they would give us the instruction. So everybody would be there. They would give us the instruction. They would demonstrate the drill so we could see what it looked like. And then they would work with us to learn the skill. I'm going to tell you where I started messing up. I started messing up when I started looking at the other students. When I started looking at their progress. Because some students picked up things faster than I did. So when they would swim faster than me, like when we started swimming from one end of the pool to the other, I was always the last one to get there. Always. That started to frustrate me. And then I was like, girl, you got to realize you got to swim at your own pace. Because I don't know what their mindset was. I was more focused on learning the drill, learning the skill. It didn't matter how fast I got there. So it doesn't matter how you finish, is that you finish. So I was like, y'all go ahead. I'll get there when I get there. If y'all need to swim back, I'm going to get you. But I started messing up when I started looking at everybody else's progress and not paying attention to my own. And I started messing up and started to pick up like their bad habits. So a lot of times when you're being taught something, the instructor is going to give you the instructions and show you how to do it the proper way, the right way. But you're going to always pick up something that's going to be catered to you. And then it gets to a point where it's like you're no longer showing your work, you just getting the result. So there came a point where I would watch somebody kick, because kicking has not been my strong suit. Like I kick way too much, and you actually don't have to do a whole lot of kicking when you swim. If you are a swimmer, you know what I'm talking about. But it seems like you're constantly moving your feet. No, you're not. Like there are points when you just kind of glide through the water and you just kind of like work with the water, let the water keep you afloat and things like that. Keep air in your lungs, you're going to float. But I was looking at their technique, and then it did not work for me. I mean, it was so bad that I would start to sink. And I'm like, well, why am I sinking? And my instructor said one day, it's because you're not doing the technique the way that I taught you. You're looking at somebody else's technique, and that doesn't work for you. Baby, when I tell you the light bulb came on, I was like, oh, this applies to my entire life then. Because when I'm looking at somebody's technique, they're not saying that I don't need instruction, because again, the instructor showed me how to do this thing, but our body types are different. Our body makeups are different. The way we learn is different. The way we move is different. She gave me the fundamental, but I had to figure it out in a way that it worked for me. Amen. I hope y'all caught that. So when I'm still doing the fundamentals and figuring out the way the technique works for me, I stopped sinking. I started gliding through the water. And that's why it looked like, to the untrained eye, it looked like I knew what I was doing. I'm learning just like everybody else. And that's the thing with life. You may have a great technique. You may have even honed in on a couple skills and be strong at them. And it looks like you got it all together. But let's be real. We are all learning every day. And when we start to understand that everybody on this planet, first of all, has to start from ground zero and learn something. Everybody starts off as a beginner. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed because you don't know something. Learn it and learn it at your own pace. And be proud of yourself when you do learn it. But don't get complacent. Learn something else. Celebrate your win, but learn something else. And I'm so thankful for, first of all, God showing me all these lessons in just these daggone swim classes because he's just so amazing. But also being able to realize that it is not as bad as I thought. Here I was afraid of deep water when all I had to do was learn how to float. Somebody gonna catch that. Sometimes we just gotta learn how to float. You just gotta learn how to float. And one thing I've learned about swimming, there's even a technique to treading water. So when I first started treading water, my instructor had to correct me because I was doing it wrong. I was exerting way more energy than what was necessary and what I needed. So treading water, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to kick my legs like out. Like I can't explain it. You kind of have to see it. So I'm thinking I have to kick my legs out away from my body. And it's more so I'm straight. Like I'm everything is aligned and my arms are out and doing like their thing, keeping me afloat. But my legs are kind of like, it's almost like riding a bicycle or being on an elliptical machine. Yeah, that's probably the best way I can describe it. Kind of like being on an elliptical machine that uses less energy. So when I was doing it the first way, and my swim instructor didn't even realize that I was treading water wrong until we got into that deep water. Because you really can't tell in 3 feet. But when we got in the deeper end, she was able to see what I was actually doing and how I was not doing the correct technique. And that's why it was costing so much energy, why I was getting so tired when all I had to do was let the water work with me. And one thing that I learned is don't fight the water. Because you will actually float. Like you'll be surprised. You will actually float as long as you're breathing. And so I am still continuing the lessons. I'm going to keep going until my trip in November. At the time of the recording of this podcast, it is September 28th. And so I am still going. And another nugget I want to give y'all. Do it until you get it. Don't do it because somebody's telling you otherwise. Don't let anything stop you from reaching your goal. Now be wise. Use wisdom and discernment when reaching your goals. Because you got to learn when to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Everything is not meant to be a now thing. So use your wisdom. But you can tell the difference between somebody actually giving you wise counsel and somebody that is putting their fear on you. Or somebody that's coming to you from a place that they've never experienced. Like I remember somebody telling me I have this desire to live abroad. And I can't tell you how many people would tell me, oh, it's dangerous in such and such place. And I'm like, it's dangerous in the United States. What you talking about? And this person didn't even have a passport, but they're telling me how dangerous it is someplace else. I'm like, how do you know? Were you there? You weren't there. So sometimes my mentor said it best. Always consider the source. If it's someone who's never left their small town, how you going to tell me what it's like to travel to another country? You never even left this small town. We have 2 different perspectives. We have 2 different experiences. Your experience is out of hearsay. Mine is going to be out of actual being there. Consider the source. All right, y'all. That's it. That's all I got for this week. I hope that this has helped you in some kind of way. If you have a fear, baby, conquer that thing. Conquer that thing. Don't let that fear hold you back. God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And that does not mean that we will not feel fear. What it means is that we're going to deal with it a whole lot different than what others would. So with that, I bid you adieu, because it's a Saturday afternoon. I got so much stuff to do, y'all. I actually got to go and get some work done on my 9 to 5 on a Saturday. I know, child. Yesterday, at the time of recording this podcast, we had Hurricane Helene come through here, and I had no power for about 8 hours. I had no electrical power, but I still had the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hallelujah. So I got to catch up on some work from yesterday. And do laundry, all the Saturday stuff, all the Saturday running around. But I hope and I pray that you will return next week. And, did you know that you can leave me a text message? You can message me now, girl. Yeah. At the bottom of the show notes, you'll see a link that says send me a message or text me or something like that. Send me a message and I will shout you out on next episode. I can't type you back. I can't reply back in writing, but I can shout you out on the next episode. So make sure that you leave me a message. Let me know what you think about this episode, what you think about the show, if there are any topics you want me to cover and discuss, all that stuff. This is an interactive podcast. Even though I'm sitting here talking, you my friend. I need you to talk back because I don't want to look crazy sitting here talking to myself. But yeah, make sure you text me. Let me know what you think. And be sure to follow me on all the socials, like I said earlier, and do all that good stuff. I just want to know that you're there and know that I want you to know that I appreciate you. And I thank you for all that you've done and you're doing and for being so supportive. I love, 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 love you from the bottom of my heart. I truly, truly mean that. So until next time, my peeps, join me back here for another episode of the Charting Station Podcast. And remember, God loves you. I love you. And ain't nothing you can do about it, boo. Bye.